What's up, Modern Contractor TV? Teddy here. In this episode, we sit down with Jimmy Spire from GlassHouse. This is a technology that you absolutely want to learn about. I was blown away when I heard about it for the first time. This technology allows you to digitally door knock the neighborhood of where you're working or where you want to work. It's absolutely amazing. I've never heard of anything like this before. I think it's one of a kind. So you definitely want to dive into this episode, learn about it. This is a way to generate leads. These are warm leads in the neighborhoods that you're currently working. And this isn't just sending postcards to neighbors or knocking on the neighbors' doors, which you should be doing all of that. But this is a digital form of that. So it's digital door knocking. The name of the company is called GlassHouse, and Jimmy Spire is the gentleman that we speak to in this episode. I think you guys are getting a ton of value out of this. Let's get into it.
You're listening to Modern Contractor TV, the show for home service pros who want to build real business value, scale profits, and create a company that doesn't rely on them day to day. Hosted by entrepreneur, author, and advisor Teddy Slack, a builder of multiple seven-figure service businesses. Each episode brings you real-world strategies to help you grow, systemize, and prepare for a profitable exit. Let's get into it.
Hey, Jimmy, welcome to Modern Contractor TV.
Hey, Teddy. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, super excited, man. I'm really interested to talk about your new technology here because I found out about this and I was blown away. And this is a perfect episode for Modern Contractor TV because I feel like every home service contractor should be utilizing this technology. So let's get into it. Let's talk about, tell the audience who you are, what's your background, and let's talk about this new tech you got going on.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Jimmy Spire. I'm the founder of GlassHouse, based in Nashville. So if you're in the area, hit me up. But we are a digital door knocking software platform. So we are software for home services exclusively to digitally door knock, basically drive business direct. Go direct, we like to say.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I mean, yeah, like I said, I heard about this tech and I was like, this is 100%. Every home service contractor needs to do this. I mean, I feel like a lot of guys do it the old fashioned way, right? They're working in an area and they're going around and, they're hitting the doors next to the project they're working on and things of that nature. So talk a little bit about how your software works and why it's different.
Yeah, so my background is in B2B sales. So I spent about 15 years helping build about $1 billion worth of software company value for doing like business to business sales for software. And in that industry, I learned a lot about building teams for outbound sales. So I had kind of usually 40, 50, sometimes 100 salespeople across those businesses. And we do a ton of outbound. So if you are getting called right now, if you're a home service business and you're getting called, hopefully by my team, but by lots of software companies, I'm sure, that's the motion that I was used to is, we call these people, we email these people, we reach out to them, we try and get in front of the people we wanted to talk to. And when I got into home services a couple of years ago, I noticed or I realized kind of quickly, like, no one does that here, or it's just not, it's the same scale. It's like not the same level. And everything seemed to live off of inbound, or at least it was inbound first. Inbound was like the primary like way we did things. And I actually own a home service business as well, which is, part of how I learned about all this since it wasn't my background. And that kind of led me to that question, like, well, why the hell not? Like, why the hell aren't people doing that same thing? And that's what led me into this path of saying, well, can we? And how would we? If we're going to do this, like, how would we do it the right way for a home service business? Because it's not a software company, right? Like, it's different. It's not the same thing. But it could still use the same principles, right? You can still take the same approach. You just have to do it the right way for the target audience and the target, user. That's how we got to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my first reaction when I heard about this was like, is this legal? Are you allowed to do it? And obviously you guys dove into that and crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because, essentially, you're pulling data off of a database and then you're cold texting and emailing clients, right? So a lot of guys will probably think, well, you don't have the permission to do that. They didn't opt in, right, to get text. So how do you get around that?
Yeah, so it's all compliant. We get your lawyers involved on day one when you want to start doing something new. This is kind of new for home services, but it's kind of not. So what I found out, like we've been doing this for 2 years, and what I found when I started asking questions, that's the best way to learn is just ask questions, right? So I started asking questions like, how do you do this today? How would you do it? Would you want this? How would that work? And people ask that same question. Well, you can't do this, you can't do that. But then I started to run into some people, a lot of people in pest control, a lot of people in roofing, but a lot of home service just in general, who were starting to solve this problem. They're like, what we do is we go and we buy this list. So we go and we buy lists from these data brokers, and they're real expensive and they're real crappy. And so we buy this list and we like hand it to some people, and they just like rip calls on that. They just rip cold calls against it, and maybe we blast some emails. And it was a lot of kind of like disjointed stuff, and the lists were kind of crap. So I spent a whole like month going and buying every list I could find on every single website you could think of. I won't name them. And I looked at them all. I was like, this is objectively garbage. It's like hot garbage. And then I was like, then they do a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, okay, so can we actually do this better and do this right? And like, is that legal? Like, are these people just on the fringe and they just don't care? Or is this actually possible? Because if people are starting to want to solve this problem, why haven't they? And what I found was it was mostly a fear-based thing. There are rules and regulations, and they're designed to mostly just scare everybody away. Like, please don't do this. And if you follow the rules and regulations and you get your lawyers to look at it all, and you build a compliance structure and you follow the DNC list and all this other stuff, if you bake it in to protect the consumer, hell yeah, we're all consumers, to protect the business, we're all business owners on this call and listening, I'm sure, then you can do all of this the right way. And it actually is within a legal compliance structure. It's just hard. It's just like really hard. So the guys going out there buying a list and ripping calls, they may or may not be compliant, honestly, because it depends on how they do it. But if you do it within that structure that we've put in place, that we have reviewed, then you can stay compliant, which is your edge. We all want an edge. That's your edge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. It's definitely an edge. I mean, just to give the viewers or in the audience, maybe that's listening and they may not be able to kind of see visually, but just to give them kind of an idea of how this software works. Essentially, just hypothetically, right? And you could explain it better than I can because this is your baby. But from my understanding, I do a job on 123 Main Street, right? I'm doing a job there, and maybe before I'm going to that job, I'm taking a basically a circle, or you're painting a square or whatever around that neighborhood, and you're choosing the homes that you want to send an automatic text message to, correct? And say, hey, we're in your neighborhood, or we're coming to your neighborhood on this date. We're working for Miss Jones at 123 Main Street, and then maybe it's also sending an email as well at the same time. Correct? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's the basic like concept, right? So you're coming to my house on 105. Let me get my address out. You're coming to my house, 105, whatever, and you're going to do a job. So before you show up, let's pull that neighborhood. Let's enrich it. Let's run it through National Deed. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but let's enrich it. Let's get in touch with the neighbors, all the ones we're allowed to, text and email, and then all the little details that go into management of that process. The idea was, can we digitally door knock? That's the whole like slogan here. Can we digitally door knock that neighborhood? Because you're probably doing like, hopefully you're doing like clover leafing today. You're talking to 2 across and 2 next door, 3 across, whatever it is. That's pretty limited. What about 50, 60, 70, 100? Like, it's too time consuming and expensive to ask your crew to do that. And so the other thing you could do, a lot of people do this today. Like, if you think about what else would you do instead, there's like, I'm not sure if this is gonna be on video, but I'm holding up a bunch of physical mail, right? So you could spend like 30 to 50 cents per postcard to mail people trash, essentially. You just mail them garbage. You're like, that's existed forever. You can do every door direct mail and all this stuff. And so this is like, can you digitize that? Because that's 150 years old. So can we just make it a little bit better than a 150-year-old postcard process?
Yeah.
That's
no, exactly.
like the core concept of what this is.
It's basically, postcards, but digitally, which obviously is a lot less money, right? And also it goes directly to everyone's phone. I mean, this is where everyone's attention is. Everyone's constantly scrolling on their phones, right? So that's where you want to be. I mean, I know for a fact when I get those postcards in the mail, I'm just tossing them. That's like you're separating the mail. It's like junk, good, and those they're just you know what I mean? I don't even look at them. I'm not reading the content on there. I don't care what promotion you're giving me. Like, I mean, for me, maybe for older generation people, like maybe they look at it because they're looking for a discount, and maybe so obviously it works because people are still doing it. But I feel like this new model that you have is where everyone's attention is. And, everyone's scrolling on their phone. You get a text message. Ooh, what's this? Okay, well, I'm going to at least read it. It doesn't hurt to read the text, even if it looks spammy or something because you don't recognize the number, you're at least going to read it,
So there's a whole bunch of things there. One, it's an attention economy. So you want their attention. There's a whole new group of homeowners coming up from I'm in my 40s, 30s, 40s, 20s. Like they're on their phone all the time. My wife says, please don't knock our doors. If you're physically knocking doors, you're going to meet a lot of people who don't want that anymore. So the attention economy is real. You want to get on that phone 90% plus of the time they're going to read it. And your point of like being spammy. I get these all the time. I'm like, hey, we're your local neighborhood, whatever. And like, that's just spam. We don't spam people here. So we help manage opt out, all that stuff. We have best practices. We have requirements in the process. You need to put your name on that thing. You need to it needs to come from a real phone number, not just some like random number overseas. You need to put a link to your website. It needs to be able to actually have a human's name on it. Like these are all part of like requirements of like compliance, but they also make it so that you're different. And I made my whole sales career on just, hey, could we just seem different? Because different isn't better or worse. It's just different.
Yep.
It's just not the same thing. And so I'm not saying the physical mail can't work.
Yep.
This is just a totally different thing. And its scale is better. Its cost is better. It has lots of benefits. So that's kind of how we think about just being different to the market, because your competitors are almost certainly not doing this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I've never heard of it before. I mean, I think it's absolutely genius, and I can't wait to use the technology. What home service contractors right now that you're currently working with are having the best return, I guess, on investment when it comes to utilizing this technology?
Yeah, so everybody wants, what's my ROAS or what's my return multiple? The home service industry, we kind of all think about like a 5X, right? I need to get 5X return. If I get 5X return, I can make some money here. 7's great. 10 would be awesome. Back in the day, Google, Facebook, a lot of them would like easily hit that number, and it's getting harder now, right? So I hear from a lot of companies, hey, 2X, 3X, it's just kind of stinks now. And so what we see is if your job size allows you to get a annualized value of about $1,000 or a lifetime value of about $1,000 out of a customer from one kind of like customer acquisition, then the multiples here can be 10 to 25X.
Wow.
Because the cost structure is way better. It just doesn't cost that much to send digital anything, right? You're talking about sending things for pennies, not a buck, or paying somebody to sit there. Like one human being can touch 10,000 properties a month in like 3 hours.
Wow. Yeah. You're not touching that with regular mail or even door to door,
We've talked to, we have, hundreds of customers now. So I've talked to thousands of people about this, and you hear different things in different industries, right? Like roofing, they can get 20, 30, 40, 50X on this because the job size is awesome, right? I have roofers who've closed $70,000 jobs from this. Painters, if you get a $3,000 to $5,000 job, okay. Hey, can we get you 3 to 5 more closed booked appointments, jobs per month? Like, ooh, okay. That's like $300,000 or $400,000, right?
Yep.
So that's how you can see those really, really high multiples. And just having talked to all these people, the same type of reach, the cost, the investment. The problem for a smaller business is, listen, if I wanted to stick with a 5X return, it's just a math equation, right? It's a math equation. If I'm going to get a 5X return and I want to do $1 million, then it's just math. I got to do $200,000. I got to invest $200,000 to get there. And if I don't have $200,000 to invest, I'm not getting there. So that's why these home service businesses tend to like grow a little slower, is because you got to pour the profit back in, and it builds and it compounds, and it takes a long time. Versus, hey, if I could get 10 or 12 or 15X returns, I can speed this whole thing up. And I'm competing with somebody who's dropping 50 times more money than me, but I'm doing it smart. I'm doing it a different way.
Yeah. Let me take a quick minute to let you know about something that's genuinely changing the game for contractors right now. The software is called LiveSwitch. You know how much time we waste by going out and doing free site visits? LiveSwitch lets you send a link to your prospective clients where they could pull up a video that will be recorded. There's laser pointers inside this technology where you could point them to show you where the problem is. It could be a leaking pipe. It could be an electrical issue that's not working. It could be an area of concern in the backyard where you're not sure if there's access and you want to see if your equipment's going to fit back there. Well, you no longer have to drive to the property. You just send a link to your client. They pull up their phone and boom, you're able to see live exactly what's going on. You're able to then integrate integrate AI into this. We'll record all the notes. It'll summarize the call. It'll take photos of what you're seeing and document all this so you could not have to drive out to the site. I personally saved thousands of hours by selling clients over the phone before Live Switch existed. And I took risk all the time because I didn't know if there was access for my equipment. I didn't, the clients couldn't really explain what was going on. With this technology, I would have saved myself tons of money by just winging it and sending quotes without actually seeing the job. If you guys want to get a free demo of this software, click the link in the description. It'll send you to a scheduling calendar link where you could check this out and see if it's a good fit for your business. And are you seeing a better return, I guess, from the emails compared to the text, or the text messages are better than the email? What are you seeing there?
If you're going to pick one, SMS is like, that's what we started with. That was our first product. We've added email subsequently. We do warmed up email. So it's not cold email. It's warm email, actually. Warms up the email accounts, gets into their inbox. It's a bunch of like AI magic that makes it like, actually, like my business, we have a 58% open rate on our emails. It's like, wow. I'm on like the Mount Rushmore of email open rates, basically.
That's amazing.
So add that for sure. If you had to pick one, SMS is just like the more direct. The way I equate it is email is like the Air Force. Like it's way up there and you can kind of like see the whole thing and you can kind of like attack the whole like frontier. Like, we're bombing the whole area. And SMS is like the Navy SEALs, right? So email is like the cheapest brand building awareness you'll ever have in your life. You're talking a couple, like hundreds of dollars a month for like hundreds of thousands of impressions. It's awesome. Versus SMS, it's more tactical and you're going right to a consumer. You're getting on the phone. It's have a crazy high view rate. And then that's what usually generally elicits like direct response. Like, hey, click on my website and book an appointment, or, respond yes if you want a quote. And you'll be like, yes, I want a quote. Versus email, they're kind of like, hey, that is interesting. I'll check that out later. It's like a billboard.
Yep. Yeah, no, I like that analogy. That makes sense. And just to make sure that it's clear to the audience, I mean, this is not an automatic software, right? This is not something you just turn on and automatically just sends out texts and emails. This is something that this contractor, the home service contractor, is going to have somebody either in-house or maybe like a virtual assistant that they, hire just to manage this software essentially, right? Because it's not an automatic thing, correct?
Yes, not just to do this. So the goal is for our customers to spend an hour or two a week doing this. Doing outbound sales is not a set it and forget it thing. That is what Google is. That is what Facebook is. Facebook charges you an exorbitant tax, so does Google, because basically you don't have to do anything, right? Yep. So you're like, cool, here's my money, and like everyone's competing in the same pool and advertising. This is not advertising the same way. It's direct to consumer. We call it outbound sales platform, not a marketing tool, because it does involve a person to some extent. Now, our job is to make that as fast, as easy, and as effective as possible, but you can never get the human out of it for compliance, but also just because the human element is what gives you that ability to we can AI assist that person, but to make it direct to the consumer and then to follow up and send the right message and to actually give them a call after they say, yeah, I want a quote. We want somebody to think of outbound as part of their strategy, not hey, I wrote a $500 check and or $300 check or whatever it is, and it's just going to rain leads like pennies from heaven. Like, if anybody could do that, it would be a lot more than $500.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And you need someone to be able to nurture it. Because if you do get a response, if somebody says, oh, I got this text message, what's this about? And then they respond to it, you have somebody, it's speed to lead, right? It goes back to that whole thing. It's like, you need to respond to those. Those are now becoming very warm leads, right? So you want to jump on those as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we automate through some of that, right? So we need a person to kind of get involved in the process always. And then we do a lot of automation around if they do start showing interest, it can send them another message or warm them up a little bit or respond to their inbound requests. And we can do a lot of things there. But this is not advertising in the same way where it's just, hey, I want to get a bunch of people, doom scrolling on their Facebook at 2:00 in the morning and filling out forms for nothing. These are high quality leads, which means you want to jump on them right away.
No, 100%. Yeah, you're getting a completely different type of lead here. This is, again, like you said, with the Facebook. I mean, you're getting super cold. There's no intent there. They're just being, like you said, doom scrolling, as opposed to you're going directly to the neighborhood. And if they're interested, let's say, for example, the roofing space, like and they know their neighbor's getting the roof, and now, are you mentioning like the client's name in these texts? Can you get a little specific about what text goes out? Like, are you saying the address? Hey, we're at 123 Main Street. Like, how does that work?
Usually not, unless you've already kind of asked the customer. So that would be predicated on the job size a little bit. So if you're doing a $30,000 roof and you're like, hey, we're also going to reach out to your neighbors if that's okay. We'd like to let them know that we're working with you, or we worked with you, you finished that job. Hey, would it be okay if we mentioned you? Like, yeah, we loved this job. This is great. Feel free to let them know. You're trying to go viral in a neighborhood at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
Everybody wants to go first. Again, 123 Main Street, 125 Main Street, 127 Main Street. Everybody wants that to happen. And so this is helping you create that virality and create that network effect within the neighborhood. They saw your vans, they saw your rap, they heard you. If you're a roofer, they definitely heard you. So if you ask for permission and have a permission structure, that's great. Do that. If you are just using their existing job as a leverage point to start kind of spiderwebbing into the neighborhood, then it's really more about, hey, we're working in your neighborhood. And it's true, by the way. It has the benefit of being true. Nothing sounds as
Yep.
good as the truth. And you're basically saying, like, you're going to see me, you're going to hear me. We're going to be there on Thursday. That's really when we're going to be there. What's cool about that is if someone said, can you come out to my job to give me a quote tomorrow? There's no mail system in the world that's going to get a bunch of letters in their mailboxes by tomorrow.
No.
But this would work. This would be like, hey, we're coming to Teddy's house tomorrow. Let's hit the neighborhood up and let them know we're coming.
Yep.
So no, don't use their name unless you ask. I usually say neighborhood or street name. When I do this for our business, we say, hey, we're in your neighborhood and we name it. Or hey, we're working off of this street name. Because that's like a pattern interrupt. It's like an outbound sales term. It interrupts like boom, 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 message I don't care about. Oh, wait, you're on my street. Now I reckon when the human brain loves its own name a lot, but other
Yep.
things it recognizes stand out. And this your street name or your neighborhood name stand out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. So you mentioned now a couple of times, so you have another business. It's in the home service space that you own?
Correct. I own Pink's window washing franchise. We bought
Okay.
that about a year ago here in Nashville, and we bought that actually to support learning more about this industry. So I didn't own that business and then get it into the software company. I said I'm a software guy. That's my background. I'm a sales guy. That's my background. And then realized when I started getting into home services that I didn't really know enough about what my customers' lives were really like. So then went out and bought a business to build it from day zero. So and we used a franchise because we didn't know that much. Like we probably need some help. So that we could say, hey, listen, we're like all in on this. Like this is
Yeah.
it. This is like a lifestyle choice.
No, 100%. So anybody who's in the window washing space obviously is listening. I mean, you'd be a great guy to speak to because obviously you're using this tech in that exact industry right now, right? So like, what are you seeing? I mean, as far as, I don't know about the returns, but like, what are you, like, are you seeing a good response when you get into these neighborhoods and are using this technology? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, from response rate, you start to think about like, okay, how does this funnel all work, right? How does the math? And we're looking at usually 1 to 3.5% response rates where we can turn a target into an actual, prospect, like a lead. And then the conversion rates vary at that point wildly by sub vertical for window washing. And we work with a lot of power washers and window washers because I have one, right? And so we're looking at more like 3 to 5% conversion rate to a warm lead. And then you can really turn those like 10% into like a hot qualified estimate. And then you got to win your estimates. However you win them, everybody wants
Yeah.
40 to 50%. And this business, I know it's probably lower for roofing or, different other higher ticket items. But yeah, when you look at that funnel math, we've looked at it across, I mean, obviously window washing, we can measure that real well, but we've looked at it across painting and roofing and pest control. We work with all of those.
Wow. Just you guys have a diverse, sector of industries that this is working for currently right now, right?
Yeah, and my background is in sales, and I train the sales team. We buy into this concept of just like transparency selling. It's actually a book. It's called The Transparency Sale by Todd Capone, who's an advisor to our business, and he's awesome. Check it out. And it really just talks about like being upfront about what you're great at, what you're bad at. And so decided to work with every home service vertical we could find. right off the gate. So like we work with people who do pooper scooping and holiday lights and like you name it, we're doing it. Pool repair. But the strategy is different depending on the vertical. And we try to be, or we really upfront about that. Like if you do break fix work, so if you are a plumber, this is the best brand awareness campaign you will ever find. But you won't book jobs off of it as much as you will if you're a window washer. Window washers are not, yeah, brand awareness is great, but they want to book estimates to turn into jobs right now. But window washing is technically a luxury service because anybody could do it. And you don't need something to be really wrong other than dirt on your windows, which happens every
Yeah.
day, versus a plumber. No one wants to call a plumber. And in fact, they won't
No.
call a plumber unless there's a problem.
Yep.
And so we tell our customers, like, depending on what you do, think about this the same way you do as advertising. I'm sorry, like as like a billboard or like brand awareness, or are you doing this to generate immediate leads? What's your strategy based on who you are and what your service is? Roofers, it's more like, hey, I want to sell some roofs. I'm like, well, cool. If all the houses in the neighborhood were built at the same time and someone's getting a roof, they all need a roof.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Plus, you have that effect, right? When the neighbor's getting a new roof, they're like, "Oh, you know what? I was thinking about my roof. I should probably get a quote too." You know, and now they know you're in the neighborhood. Maybe they drive down to the house. They see you working. You got your wrapped vehicles out there. You got your signs out there. You got your yard signs. You know, I think that's what's going to drive them. It's just again, brand awareness. Let them know you're in the neighborhood. I just think it's an amazing tool to have because yeah, you could send your guys out, and I would still do that. I would do this on top of still going door to door, still go. You know what I mean? When I'm in the neighborhood, and it's a little bit of everything. I think is gonna make the wheel turn. You know?
totally. FOMO is a real thing. Create some FOMO. It exists in the world. Fear of missing out, right? We want to create that.
Yes.
Your neighbor's getting a new roof. Wouldn't it be cool if you had one?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure you could use some kind of angle like, "Hey, we're in your area, so if you want us to give you a proposal now or a quote now, get it done because we could give you a discount if it's done now. We're in the neighborhood, whatever the case may be.
Totally. I mean, you're just tapping people on the shoulder, and everybody's busy. They're thinking about you a lot less than you think they are, right? Like, so in
Yep.
your business and in home services, we think about home services. I think about home service businesses like all day, every day. So I could get caught up in trying to like think that everybody else is, but they're not,
No,
right?
no,
You are.
not unless they
They're
need
not
you.
thinking
Yeah.
about their roof all day, every day, roofers. They're not thinking about their like, oh, I got to get those Christmas lights put up. Like, yeah, like if I just waited to like the moment that I'll give you an example. I kind of know I need to get my driveway sealed. I got like an aggregate situation. But I'm like, I gotta go on the internet and find a person and schedule an appointment. Man, if somebody would just come find me right now and say, hey, we could like, looks like your driveway needs to be done. We did 3 of your neighbors. I would buy that today. World, driveway sealers, find me. But
Yep.
nobody has. And so I'm kind of like, oh, it's in the back of my mind. I see the driveway every day. I know it needs to get done every 2 years. But man, what a hassle.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. I mean, this is why it makes a lot of sense because, again, if you're in that neighborhood and you are doing the door to door, which you should be, the 5-pack or 9-pack, whatever you want to call it, whoever everyone has a different word for it, but
Mhm.
this is just a way to expand that because you could go out further, like you said earlier, and then also on top of that, it's like, okay, I got a text message and an email. Now there's someone at my door. Like it's like all these touch points, and that's where you're going to find some people where they're at essentially, right? So not every time, like people may not respond to the text or may not respond to the email, but now they saw those and now you're at their door. They're like, all right, let me talk to these guys. These guys are
Well,
serious.
what's crazy is we've noticed over the last year of really going to market with this and having like a significant customer base is sometimes people will respond months later, like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, I'd like a quote. I'm like, 3 months later, they went and found you. Think about the quality of that lead. 3 months afterwards, somebody found your email or found your text message and responded and said, yeah, I'd like a quote. They're pretty seriously interested at that point.
Yes. No, 100%. So are you
And it's
seeing
a
a lot of that, like
non-competitive,
a delayed response?
sometimes a delayed response. And
Yep.
the part that highlighted for me, which was kind of like the thought I had at the beginning, was what if we could create less competitive bids in the first place? Because high intent Google inbound leads sound great, but you have to then trick yourself into thinking that they only Googled you or only found you on Google. Well, I'm number one. And you can say, I'm number one on Google. I'm like, cool. That means they didn't click on number 2 or 3, huh? Just you. You're the only one.
Yep.
But if you create a lead Yeah, they could say, "Ooh, I do want to do that. Let me go find three other people." But now they have to go invent a whole new motion called "go find three other people" that they weren't already doing. Versus you solved a problem right now for me at the right time, or at least I said, "Yeah, that is something I'm interested in."
Yeah.
It's like a different experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just like this is what I tell a lot of my clients when I speak to them too. Like, you got to think outside the box. You got to do stuff that's a little bit different that your competition's not doing. And I can tell you right now, I mean, I'm pretty confident. And maybe you could tell me, I mean, are there any roofers in New Jersey right now that are utilizing this technology? I mean, I have not come across anybody that's used this technology.
One in the Philly area, but that's it.
Philly. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So
there
I
you
mean
go.
that
Yeah.
they're in the general Western New Jersey area. I don't think
Okay.
I don't think Philadelphia likes to consider itself part of New Jersey, nor does New Jersey
No.
claim Philly. But we're they're neighbors. So
Yes. Yeah, no, that's south of me. I mean, that definitely wouldn't be my market, but yeah, I mean that there you go. I mean, these are the type of things that you guys got to think about. The listeners out there, like, what can you do that's different? Because just going to Google and giving Google all your money is not the answer. I mean, it's just with all this private equity money, it's just getting crazy out there to try to generate leads, and there are cold leads. These are guys. Most of the time, these clients are shopping price. They're going down a list of Google. They're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoever's showing up on the first page, calling every one of them. They're gonna rate you on how quickly you answer the phone, how quickly you send them a proposal. So this is like outside of the box. Like you said, you're going directly to their cell phone. And, if they need it or if they're interested in getting a quote, they're going to say, yeah, you know what, there's a free quote or whatever. Yeah, I'll take this, and then they may not go out and shop, which is great. That's what you want.
that's what you want. Something I've seen also, like to your point, I've talked to I mean, a thousand at this point, home service businesses, and I also talked to a bunch of people when I was raising money for investment into the business from VCs and people like that. I also talked to a bunch of people in home services who had like done really well, right? Who wanted to invest in the business, and they're like, they sold this business or that business. They're like, cool, I sold this, HVAC business or plumbing or whatever, window washing, all these things. And they'd sold them for millions and millions of dollars sometimes and done really well. And they're 45 years old and they're retired in Scottsdale and they're living the dream. But if you're building a business right now, like that might be your goal too. That's a good goal. And I asked them oh, cool. How'd you build it? How'd you do it? I was really curious. And a lot of it was like, well, we were the first ones in our area on Google really leaning in, or we got into the review game before anybody else, or they started
Yeah.
naming all this stuff that everyone does now.
Yeah.
So those businesses were built on the newness of those things. I hazard to guess that unless you're showing up with like, I don't know, 10 or $20 million to dump on those platforms and be the biggest one in your market, you are probably not going to have the same outcome that those people had because you are 5 years later to the party or 10.
Yep.
And so to your point, doing something different or doing something new, that's what I believe in. Is like the next generation is going to have to invent its new first to the game things. This could be one of them. There'll be others, I'm sure. But just giving all your money to Google, that is probably not going to yield the results that it did 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that's exactly what I did back in 2005. Nobody was even on Google pay-per-click in my industry at the time. And, there was maybe one or two guys, but, out of 100 contractors in the state, and I decided to join that party, and the business took off like crazy because nobody was doing it, and it was just a way to get to the clients that at the time nobody was doing. But now forget about it. You're going to pay a fortune. We don't even do pay-per-click anymore in the industry. And, my last business I sold, we stopped doing it because the ROI wasn't there. It was just, we were getting, you have to spend stupid money. And then for the leads you're getting, they're so expensive. It just didn't make sense,
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And the cost of this, I mean, it's very, very reasonable. I mean, I've done a demo with you guys. I mean, and I was very impressed with, the potential ROI that's here because, like you said, it costs pennies to send a text message or an email compared to sending like a flyer, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, by starting with by focusing on digital outreach and tooling, um, you can control the cost structure with a lot more reach, right? It is just expensive. There's a physical cost to mailing something. You got to pay for the physical paper, the printing. There's a lot of design work that goes with that. Sometimes it's just very expensive. I've heard people say like, if you wanted to do that physical mail campaign quarterly, you might be dropping $40,000-$50,000 a year. I've heard people say we drop $150,000 a year on physical mail. And, we really think that a home service business should have an entry point into this type of thing, for less than $500 a month. Like that's a reasonable amount. Everybody can afford that if they're trying to grow their business and they want to make outbound part of their strategy. And yeah, you could scale it up. We've got bigger customers and bigger companies that use more of it or whatever, but it shouldn't be so expensive that it's just only for the biggest companies, because that's really the problem of the Googles or the physical mail is like the cost structure doesn't allow anybody to get in unless you're already big. And so it's kind of locking other people out of truly competing, but then they convince everybody to spend their money on it anyway, even though they won't really win that way because that's how they bid up the prices for everybody in general.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, digital
Yeah,
is the
I
way
mean,
to go for sure.
yeah, I mean, it's 100% the future. Like we spoke about before. I mean, everyone's on their phone nowadays. I mean, especially the new generation that's starting to buy homes too. Like, they're 24/7. I feel like they're on their phone. I mean, they're, scrolling. They don't even pay for cable anymore, right? Nobody, I mean, I feel like the younger generations, they're just, everything is streamed, whether it's YouTube or Hulu or whatever they're watching. They're not paying for, Comcast or Verizon, right? They're going down the tubes, I feel like, right? So this is where the attention's at. I mean, you guys gotta be, be where the attention's at. That's just my whole motto is like, everyone listens to Gary Vee. He talks about it all the time. I mean, this is where the attention is. And this is a way that you guys could get directly to your consumers in the areas. I mean, the fact that you could hyper target too. I mean, you could literally hyper target streets. You could figure, hey, I just want it. If like, for example, you can go back to roofing, but like, let's say you have an area where, there's old roofs. So you can go just put a circle around those streets and just highlight those streets and send a text and an email to those exact homeowners, right?
100%. And the other, and we also, these things don't exist, but we're rolling out. This is just where we started, right? So we're also building out how you can just, once you get a customer. So if you're selling like a one-time thing, maybe you don't go back to those customers. You sell a 50-year roof, you might not sell them anything else. Although I would say sell them a subscription for maintenance. Everything should be a subscription nowadays. Younger generations are fine having everything be a subscription. I could talk about that for days, but if you have any recurring nature to your business, then what we're doing is we're helping our customers already testing, like, how do I make the system automatically touch them 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year and just keep in front of them. I just want to be their vendor, because you'd be surprised how many people think, hey, that's my customer. Like, when did you talk to them last? 2 years ago. I'm like, cool. So you think when they have a problem again, they're going to remember you? No, they're going to go right back to the beginning, Google whatever, and start the whole process over again. So that's why you got to keep paying Google to be top of mind for them, versus if you could just keep staying in front of them with email and text on a regular reoccurring basis and the system's doing it for you. That's awesome. And then the other thing that I have my customers asking me for a whole bunch that we're working on is commercial data, right? So like a lot of home service businesses, it's not just home services, it's services. The other half is where they got a big chunk that's commercial. And so how do you take the same approach, but then be B2B? And so we can kind of like grow into those areas, and we are growing with our customers into those problems as well. Our vision is, if you sell a home service or a trade or a professional service, then you use GlassHouse. Like we can help you. We can help you however you want to do that. You want to retarget your customers. You want to find their neighbors. You want to talk to commercial data people. You want to qualify your buyers better, so we can tell you all about them when they come through the door. Avoid all the Karens of the world. Like, we can help you do all of those things.
Well, do you guys get involved with help? Like, let's say we came to you and they said, hey, we want to know where all the homes are in my, coverage area that are built in this year or whatever. Is that something that you could help with?
Yeah, totally. So the data set is awesome in terms of like the property details and the consumer. And that was, it's been about the hardest thing to do, actually, is how do you attach Teddy to his house and then have accurate information on both sides, right? Because I want to know the house, because it needs to meet my criteria, right? If I do like a certain type of service, I need a certain type of property. But then I can't advertise to the house. The house doesn't buy things. I got to get in front of you. So I got to contact you. The house doesn't have an email address, probably. Or like you say, it doesn't have a phone. Back in the day, houses technically had phones, but if you answered, I have to call you. And you probably don't even have a phone at the house anymore. So I have to get in touch with you at your property. So yes, we can tell you the age of the house, the last time it was sold, the value of the property, the size of the lot, how many bedrooms it has. What do you want to know? All those things.
Well, yeah, that's amazing, because obviously you want to stay away from like renters and things of that nature, right? You want to stay out of those type of areas where there's majority renters, and being able to hyper focus like this, guys, and really just go directly to your ideal customer is, it's gold,
Yeah, we call it like your customer avatar a lot in home services. I always called it ideal customer profile in software sales. But who do you want to sell to, right? What are the neighborhoods that meet that criteria? And then how do you get more people in those areas? The other way that that helps you, what I've seen is when you wait for the phone to ring, then you are hoping that is a good buyer. If you go to the neighborhood you want and drum up business, then you have a much higher likelihood that it is going to be a good buyer.
Yeah.
AKA
Yeah.
also known as sell to rich people. That's what we all want to do.
No, 100%. I mean, obviously, you want to sell to people who have money, right? Or the capability, right? They have equity in their home. They have the capability of coming up with the cash or affording the service that you offer. I mean, you don't want to be trying to sell to people that can't afford your product or service, you know?
I mean, you're be spending a lot of time and calories on trying to convince someone to buy something they can't afford. I don't personally even like to try and convince people to buy something they can't afford. I had
Yeah.
we had a home service business that we talked to the other day, and just getting going. They didn't even really have any revenue at all. They were interested in this. I asked them some questions. They really probably weren't a good fit for this today. They had didn't have very much money invested in the business, couple thousand bucks. They're just very, very small, and they were just kind of trying to test out and see if this was like going to be a business they even wanted to do. I said, you know what? We're probably not going to help you that much. You should probably go out and keep doing some of your word of mouth business and keep going, right? It doesn't feel good to convince someone to buy something that they really can't afford. And the same, even though they were not that expensive, but just given their business. Exact same thing for like when you're selling your services, like trying to convince somebody to pay for some service that they truly can't afford versus going and finding people who are like, this is well within their budget. This is what they want. They're also not going to strain to buy it, and they're not going to haggle with you as much. That's way more fun, way easier, and it feels way better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, well, this has been amazing, man. I mean, learn about how this works and just even find out. I mean, I guess we were introduced, I think Phil, right? Phil Risher was the one who introduced us.
Yeah, Phil
Um,
Risher from Flash Marketing Consultants.
Yes, Phil's awesome, man. I mean,
Phil is
and
awesome.
I'm happy he introduced us because I never knew this existed. And I was telling you a little bit before we recorded that, I did something similar, not obviously text or email directly to like a cold list, but I would drum up a list of, people that, let's say on a state list that had underground oil tanks that were removed. And then once they would leak, they would get put on this list, and I would pull that information and I would scrape the property and then find the customer's name and email and phone number and stuff like that. And I would do cold calls and we would email them and things of that nature. And this technology would have been amazing if I had it back then. So, I'm really, really excited to use it for the roofing space. And I look forward to working with you in the future here, man.
Absolutely, Teddy. Thanks for having me on, man. It was great connecting with you and chatting.
Yeah. What's the best way everyone can get in contact with you, Jimmy?
We're easy to find, glasshouse.biz, B-I-Z. And so we got videos on the website. You can book to talk to our team right on the website. We usually like to give people like 20-minute world tour, show them how it works. We make it real easy to buy, real easy to try. But yeah, glasshouse.biz is the easiest way to find us.
All right, Jimmy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Teddy.
Take it easy.